All right, so I just finished watching The Wild Robot. I literally just came back from the theaters watching it, and so I want to talk about it. I made that the anticipation video a few months back about how I'm super excited to watch the movie, and I was excited to watch the movie, and then I finally did watch the movie. So I feel like we should talk about it. By the way, that movie that I remember watching the trailers like a few months back, and I feel like, oh my god, this movie's gonna take forever to come out. It came out pretty quick. I'm not like time kind of flew by. I'm kind of shocked that it's already out here for me to watch. I watched it in 40x for the first time. That's the first ever 40x experience I've ever had, and I wanted to give it the full thing, right? Just the absolute everything. So I watched it in 40x, and I cannot lie, it was a very interesting experience. Um, First time ever using 40x. The movie start. This is not a spoiler. By the way, there's gonna be a ton of spoilers in this video, so if you don't want to get yourself spoiled, don't watch this. But right away, the movie starts with like a storm scene, like just right off the bat. There's like a big storm, and when you're sitting in the seats, the seat just starts shaking and moving immediately, which I personally love. I love that. I think there would be some people who would say it's distracting or takes away from viewing the movie. For me, I found it super immersive. I just dove right into the movie. I'm a huge fan. I feel like I'm gonna be watching 40x a lot, at least whenever I get the chance. So I really enjoyed that experience. As for the movie itself, it was good. It was a very solid. I wish I had more to say about it. If I'm being honest, I wish I had more to say, but I think all the talking points that are to be said have been said. It was a very solid movie. Animation is beautiful. All right, it's stunning. It's gorgeous. Great movie. The plot is. I mean, people will say it's predictable, but I feel like it's executed very well. It's a really well executed movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd absolutely recommend it, 100%. Uh, One interesting thing about this movie, though, actually has nothing to do with the movie itself. It's the fact that I also recently watched Transformers 1. Now, The Wild Robot, I made a video about it. The second I saw the trailer, I was immediately intrigued, right? I wanted to watch it. Transformers 1, I don't care about Transformers. Bro, I watched like the first two Michael Bay movies. I think that's it. I watched a tiny bit of Transformers when I was a kid, but I have zero connection to this franchise. But I have a friend who absolutely loves Transformers. He wanted to go watch it, so I went with him. Yo, Transformers 1 like blew me away. Like, I'm sorry, I know it's supposed to be a Wild Robot video, but Transformers 1 was insanely good. Like, when I compare the Wild Robot to Transformers 1, I feel like Transformers 1 is just so much better. Like, I love the Wild Robot. I really do. I think it's a great movie. Go watch it. But man, Transformers 1 was insanely good. I think the strength of Transformers 1 was the characters. Optimus Prime and Megatron. I mean, dude, you just end up loving both of those characters after watching the movie. Both of them. Like, you would think, oh, you like Optimus Prime and you hate Megatron. No, dude. I watched this movie. I loved Megatron more than Optimus. I loved Optimus Prime, don't get me wrong. But dude, Megatron was just so well portrayed in that movie. So this is turning into a Transformers 1 review instead of The Wild Robot, but I have to talk about both movies. It was just so good. Transformers 1, I feel like they used the camera in really creative ways. With the Wild Robot, the 40x part was excellent. There's so many like chase scenes where the scene's like rumbling around and shaking and you're just moving with it, which I absolutely loved. It makes you feel like you're part of the chase. But I feel like it was very, I don't know. I don't want to say standardly shot because that sounds like a bad thing. I just want to say that Transformers 1 had a lot of creative scenes. Like, they really, I don't know, they're just creative with their usage of the camera, I feel like. And the characters were great. In the Wild Robot, I feel like the robot herself, Roz, was the highlight of the show. She was like the most well fleshed out, most moving character. All the other characters, they felt like side characters. If that means, again, I don't want to say that. I don't want to dampen your thoughts on this movie. If you've already watched it and you love it, or if you've not watched it and you're like trying to see if you should go see it or not, you should go see it. But I don't know. I felt like Roz the robot was like really well done. Loved her portrayal, but I feel I feel this way about both movies, by the way, about Wild Robot and the Transformers one. But I feel like they both needed more time. They just needed more scenes, dude. Like, I just wish there was more scenes. I wish Transformers 1 had more scenes just because I love the movie so much. I just wish there was more of it. I wish the Wild Robot had more scenes because I felt like, I don't want to say it was rushed, but they were trying to fit a lot into a little package. And I feel like they could have used more scenes, maybe. People are going to compare the Wild Robot to the Iron Giant a lot, which makes a ton of sense, right? Of course, it's about robots. But the Iron Giant, I think one of the strengths of the Iron Giant is the relationship between the Giant and Hogarth is just well fleshed. They just have a ton of scenes where they're just messing around, goofing off, having fun. The Wild Robot, the story revolves around Roz and Bright Bill, her son, and I felt like they just needed more time, more scenes together, just more scenes where they were just goofing off and having fun. In the movie, Roz is like hyper focused on getting Bright Bill to learn how to swim and fly, and that's just all that they practice and all they do. And by the way, there are some great scenes, dude. The introduction of the flight instructor, I super loved that. I think his name was like Thunderbolt or something like that, and like the hawk that teaches the duck to fly, and like teaches him to fly like just extra sharp, right? Extra sexy. Man, I really love that part of the movie where they were like teaching Bright Bill to fly even better than the other ducks. I wish they used that more. They like barely use. I almost want to say they didn't even use it at all. But I really feel like they should have implemented that more in the movie. At least I wish that's what I felt like. But yeah, other than that, yeah, Transformers One. I feel like the relationship between Optimus and Megatron, Optimus and Megatron had a lot of time to just kind of to cook, right? They just had a lot of really great scenes together. The relationship really got fleshed out. And when you see Megatron slowly but surely turn to the dark side, first of all, I feel like they got way more time to be justified, right? To really let it sink in, to really let the change happen naturally. I feel like they could have even used more time, to be honest, but I'm satisfied with what I got. And you just slowly see the descent of Megatron, and it's just so great to watch because not only is it justified, but you can really feel Megatron's, but you're like with him. You're sympathizing with him. He's the evil guy. He's the one that's turning evil. But every step of the way, you see how he got there, and you're like, bro, I feel I'd be doing what you're doing if I was in your shoes. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, with the Wild Robot, there's the classic scene where Bright Bill goes like, "You're not my real mom. You're not my parents, right? You'll never be my real dad, Uncle Ben, right?" You know that whole scene where they kind of just separate for a little bit. Man, dude, that scene, like, it was just kind of, I don't know. It kind of came out of, it's not that it came out of nowhere, but it also resolved itself very quickly. Also, I love the performances in both movies. I'll go back to the Wild Robot for a second. I think the robot was great. I think her name is like Lupita, who plays the robot. Fantastic job. I mean, I love the robot. Roz is definitely the highlight of the movie by far. I know Pedro Pascal plays the Fox. Dude, I knew he played the Fox going into the movie. I can't hear his voice at all. I think it's because the last thing I watched from Pedro Pascal was The Last of Us, and his performance in that movie is like super mega different. But dude, I tried so hard to hear his voice in the Fox. I just could not hear it, dude. I could not tell. I knew it was him, and I still couldn't tell it was his voice. But one sad thing about Pedro Pascal's performance is that even though it's not bad, I feel like he's going to get compared to Jason Bateman from Zootopia a lot, right? The Fox. And dude, Jason Bateman just crushes it as a Fox, dude. I think he's probably the most perfect Fox actor I've ever seen. Like, he just has that perfect level of like snarky, overconfident, like, trickstery, joking, witty, just that perfect blend of like just Fox attitude and Zootopia just like pulled it off so good. You can feel like Pedro Pascal is trying to do a little bit of that with his own twist. But I don't know. When you compare both Foxes, I feel like Jason Bateman's Fox is just, it's just perfect casting. Perfect casting. I mean, also, dude, Stephanie Hsu is in this movie, right? From Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and I loved her in that movie. That's the only other thing with her I've ever seen, and she was great in that movie. Dude, she destroys her role here, dude. She crushes it. She does such a good job. Bro, she shows up like barely a tiny bit all the way at the end as like a villain character. And even though she's only there for like 5 minutes only, she just instantly, I don't know, the amount of, I feel like she plays these sorts of roles, like the charismatic but silly but serious villain. Like, she just plays that blend so perfectly. Dude, I absolutely loved Stephanie Hsu's role in this movie as the villain. I just wish there was more scenes. Again, I just wish there was more scenes. With Transformers 1, yeah, I also just wish there was more scenes, but that's just because I loved the movie so much. It was just so good. I feel like Transformers 1 just did a better job of having character development. Like, you could slowly see the growth of Orion Pax into Optimus Prime, and the downfall of D16 into Megatron is just done so well. And there's a lot of really great serious scenes. The action is fantastic. Again, I just have so much praise for Transformers 1. A ton of praise for The Wild Robot as well, but the Transformers 1, I had no idea where the plot was. Like, yeah, you know that Megatron is going to turn to Megatron, Optimus is going to turn to Optimus Prime, but the journey was, I just felt like the journey was so much more worth it to travel. Whereas with The Wild Robot, you know what's going to happen the whole way through, and it is worth it. It's very well executed, but with the Transformers One, there was just enough twists and turns where I was interested the whole way through, and the execution of the downfall, the rise of Optimus Prime and the downfall of Megatron was just done so superbly well that it had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. Whereas with the Wild Robot, I just I don't want to say it's predictable. It's a great movie. You absolutely should go see it, but I don't know. With the Iron Giant, for example, I feel like that plot is also relatively straightforward. It's not super duper crazy or anything like that, but it's just so well. Like, again, there's something about the execution of like Transformers One with the Iron Giant that just had me a little bit more engaged. Just has me a little bit more. Again, the pacing of the Wild Robot is really good. It doesn't drag. As a matter of fact, some people might even complain it goes too fast, right? It kind of rushes or skips. I feel like both Transformers 1 and the Iron Giant had fantastic pacing in the sense that nothing ever dragged, right? There's no like there's no unnecessary scenes, I should say. But there are slow scenes. There are scenes in the Iron Giant where just Hogarth and the Iron Giant are just kind of goofing off, having fun. And it just adds to it. It just adds to that flavor. And in Transformers 1, there's also, again, it's not like, it's kind of different because in Iron Giant, Hogarth and the Giant are like goofing off and having fun. In Transformers 1, Orion Pax and D16 are like going on different adventures. Like they're like doing stuff together. So it's not like they're goofing off or like doing nothing. It's not like filler. It's advancing the plot, but they just do so much stuff together that you can see their natural growth over time, which I really love. With the Wild Robot, you just don't get as much of that togetherness with Roz and Bright Bill, and even the Fox and the other characters. It kind of just zooms through it. But I still think there was a ton of great highlights to the Wild Robot. Really loved watching it. It was a great movie. Really loved the 4DX. I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of 4DX now. It was my first ever 4DX experience. Instantly loved it. They're like parts where like wind is blowing in your face, and there was like a snow scene where I guess they had like droplets of water coming down from the theater or something to make it look like snow. I don't know. It was a really cool effect. The beginning scene where there's a storm, again, they went all out with that scene because there's like wind that like blows in your face. There are other storms throughout the movie too, but I feel like that's the only time where like they blew a ton of wind in your face, which again, it had me just immediately immersed in the movie. I really, really like it. Anyway, yeah. 4DX is great. Wild Robot is a solid movie, super good movie. I'm glad I watched it. I'd probably watch it again, but Transformers 1, I definitely would watch it. As a matter of fact, like as soon as it comes out digitally, I feel like I'm 100% gonna watch it again, just because I just want to relive it. Like Transformers 1 was really, really, really good. Again, Transformers 1 was so good off of the strength of its characters alone, right? Just watching Orion Pax and D16 become who they become, and their relationship and their eventual. I mean, it's just so well done. It's just so good. I didn't feel the same way, unfortunately, between Roz and Bright Bill. But again, I still think Roz, the robot character, was done phenomenally well. Tons of great stuff to love. Super great movie. I mean, dude, I love animated movies. I'm so glad I watched Transformers 1 because I almost missed it. And you should watch Transformers 1. You should also watch The Wild Robot. I think animated movies are just popping off. I can't wait to see more. I really cannot wait to see more. I hope they just keep making banger after banger after banger good animated movies. Let's hope so. Peace out.